Oh man. Ugh. Well, time to get up and make the donuts. I'm just kidding. I don't have any donuts. All right. You know what's really tough? Trying to sit up in this little car and look at the camera and talk to you. So I'm gonna get out of the car now. All right, small change of plans with today's video topic. When I ended yesterday's video, I said today's video would be all about me talking about why I live out of a car, not a van or something bigger. But I actually have to get to St. George, Utah by tomorrow because I'm having the Subaru dealership look at my car. One of my tire pressure things keeps flashing on my dash, but all my tire pressures are actually good. So I think it's just a faulty sensor and I'm gonna have them replace it since my car is still under warranty. But that means that I'll be in a big city and I'm gonna go ahead and take advantage of the big city amenities like laundry and maybe even a place to find Wi-Fi and places that have showers and stuff like that. So I thought I'd kind of take you through kind of like my daily chores. It turns out that's actually a high search term on YouTube with others wanting to know how people live out of a car is how they do laundry and how they do kind of like the daily chores of life. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I just kind of go through those kind of routine things today. The first thing I do with my home is I make my bed. So I'm going to make my bed real quick. So when it's kind of cold at night, I actually sleep in a hoodie and I have some flannel pajamas here and then a t-shirt that I sleep in inside the hoodie. And then I actually have some wool socks. Last night was chilly, it was in the 40s, but the night before was in the 30s. So I just keep all that stuff here in my sleeping bag. I'm about to zip my sleeping bag up and then that stuff will just stay in there kind of warm and out of my way. And I don't know why, but I actually take the time to like actually fold them up. I don't know. I guess it just kind of helps me. Like I live a very different kind of lifestyle. So any kind of like organization just really kind of helps me feel a little bit normal, I guess. I started making tea at night before I go to bed, just some herbal tea to help get me to sleep and everything. And it's warm. Like I said, it gets cold out here. So I have the tea bag in there from the tea cup. And since that's wet and gross and everything, this is my trash bag. It's just a Ziploc bag, put it in there. Now it's zipped up. Any smells that are in there can stay out and it hopefully wouldn't leak or anything on me. And I'll empty this down the street. There's a park down the street with trash cans everywhere. All right, now that I'm down a little bit of water, I need to source some fresh drinking water, and that's where I use the app iOverlander again. People mark where they have found fresh drinking water. Fortunately, I've been in this area for the past couple of days, so I know that I can go down to Cathedral Gorge State Park, and there's trash cans for my trash, and there's plenty of fresh drinking water to fill these up. All right, while I'm doing breakfast, I'm actually charging all of my batteries. So right now I have my solar blanket stretched out across the hood of my car. This is a 400-watt solar blanket by Renogy, and it's a solar blanket because it's kind of like this big flimsy thing that you just drape across whatever. And right now I just have it bungee down with some bungee cords because the wind's starting to pick up. I won't gonna go into great detail about this because I've talked so much about this thing, but if you're really curious to see how this thing works, I'll put a link right here to, I think it's day 1 video where I show this a little bit more in detail. Another thing that I have on my car that requires batteries to work at night is these solar lights. So I mounted solar lights on either side of my vehicle so that at nighttime, if I want to just walk around the car in the dark places like this, I can see around my car. It makes it very easy when I'm like backing up and trying to get into a spot, or just again, just walking around camp. I can kind of see around camp a little bit easier. But also it acts as a security blanket in the sense that if someone was to approach the vehicle, a person or even an animal, these motion sensors will go off, and when I'm in the car, I can see out and I can see maybe who's approaching the vehicle, which is kind of nice. Now I had one on both sides of the vehicle. This one's still here, but the one on my passenger side I actually had to take off. And I had to take it off because when I got my awning installed, the thing that held all my roto packs, which are here on the ground, the thing that held my roto packs and that little motion sensor light here on the side just didn't fit. The awning sits too low and it just didn't fit. So right now I'm keeping all my roto packs in the car at night or just when I'm driving or anything. And that motion sensor, I actually just stuck a couple magnets on the back of it. So here's the motion sensor here. I just glued two little small magnets on the back. and now it just sticks to the side of the car. So I can still set it up as a motion sensor. So again, if someone was to approach the car or something like that, this will go off. Or if I walk around the car, it goes off and I can see things. I also have another one here in the back of the car. So this is the tailgate area of my car, and I have a motion sensor right here. It's the same thing. This one though, I just put little 3M strips on the back with these little Velcro things, and I put those same things on the window. And so what I do is I put it up there, and that way when I'm cooking at night, as soon as I get back here into the car and get like to my dry goods and stuff, this motion sensor goes off and I can see in the car. So it's great. And then if I walk over here and like wash my hands or something like that, that motion sensor will then turn off to save on the battery a little bit. So I like having that one. So right now what I'm gonna do while I'm cooking is I'm gonna put both of these motion sensors out here on top of my water, facing the sun, so that they can charge. Well, there's nothing like an abrupt change in weather to get you kind of riled up when you live in a car. So the wind was kind of starting to pick up a little bit, but nothing major. And then just out of nowhere, it just started blowing. And I had so much stuff outside. I was trying to get everything in the car, and I just got just a whole layer of dust all in this car again. I just washed it yesterday. So now when I get to St. George, I gotta take the time to like wipe everything down again. My sleeping bag is just covered in a layer of little micro dust. It was very frustrating. My tripod tipped over, and I was trying to put things in the car, but the doors kept shutting on me. The wind was pushing against them, so they just kept shutting on me. Yeah, so just not a lot of fun. All right, I just left the campground where I went back and got one of those 50-cent showers, because I looked up the shower scenario in St. George, Utah, and on iOverlander, people have marked a few places say you can get showers there. They're all at rec centers, which is another way I've gotten showers in the past. So I can go there and get them, but they were $4 or $6. There's two of them in town, and this is only 50 cents. So obviously this is much cheaper. But now I know at least I can get one tomorrow if I want to shower tomorrow. And while I was at the campground, I went ahead and emptied all my trash, and I got some fresh drinking water. So I'm all good to go on all that. So now I'm headed to St. George, Utah, where my first stop is going to be a laundromat. And that is a question I get asked so much, is how do I do laundry on the road? And I'm always a little baffled when I get asked this question, because I think it's a pretty obvious answer. But, you know, if you've never had to use a laundromat because you've always lived in a house with a washer and dryer in it, then I guess, you know, people don't think about laundromats as much as I do. But I've lived in apartments for so many years. For like the last probably 15 years or so, I lived in apartments that just didn't have a washer and dryer connection in it. Or if it had a washer and dryer connection, I just didn't own a washer and dryer. So I've been going to laundromats for, like at least 15 years now. So I don't think it's weird at all. But I've had a lot of people ask me that. And when I did a little bit of keyword research on YouTube about what people were looking up on YouTube about regarding people who live in cars, the third most searched thing was, how do people do laundry living in a car? And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll talk about it. Again, laundromats. Now, when it comes to finding a laundromat, this is where I actually don't use iOverlander, and I don't use Google Maps or Apple Maps or anything. I mean, you can, those things are on there, but I actually choose to use Yelp. Yelp is an app that I use for a lot of like local business things, because I can not only just read reviews, but I get a lot more pictures. So I don't want to go to a grungy looking laundromat. So I looked up the pictures of this laundromat I'm going to on Yelp, and it looks like a really good laundromat. And of course, you know, whatever the reviews are. Now, some laundromats will have like a card system. So you have to purchase like a little card from them, and then you put money on that card, and then you use the card as a way to pay for your washing machines and your dryers and stuff. And really all that is a way for the laundromat to make sure that you keep coming back to them if you're a local and you keep going back to them. But of course, I don't live in those areas. So for me to have a card from them makes no sense. So I prefer to find one that's just coin operated, or a lot of them are starting to move like to tap to pay, which I prefer even more. So that's what I prefer to find. Now, I don't always get those kind of searches on Yelp. I don't always find out if they take coins or cards or Apple Pay or anything, but sometimes they will say that. So I try to look for ones that will at least take coins or anything. And then when it comes to actually keeping your dirty laundry somewhere in your car when you travel full time in a car, it's something that I had to think about, right? Is where am I going to put all my dirty clothes? Because I didn't want to keep all my dirty clothes in a laundry bag somewhere in this car, and then all those clothes combined over time, it's going to start to smell. So I have a duffel bag that I keep up in my roof box, and that's where I put all my dirty clothes. So that's way it's out of the car, it's out of my way, and it's keeping the smells minimal in the car. So I'll show you the duffel bag when I get to the laundromat, and that's where I keep all my dirty clothes. And then for laundry soap and things, I buy the smallest laundry detergent I can find. So I don't buy the really big ones that most people are going to buy because they know they're going to go through it. I buy the smallest one because I'm just so limited on space here. And honestly, I can go about a week and a half to 2 weeks without having to go to a laundromat. So I just don't go through as much laundry detergent as most people. That's my quick rundown of how I do laundry. Another nice thing about going to a big city is I'll be able to go to like a Walmart or a Target. And I haven't seen a Walmart in weeks, and I haven't seen a Target in like a month. And so there are a few specialty items that I'm looking for that kind of are only in those big box chain places. You know, the markets and little grocery stores and gas stations and stuff that I've gotten things over the past several weeks, they just don't have some of the things I'm looking for. So it's nice that I'll be able to go to a big city and kind of get all those little things that I need again. Like contact solution and like sunscreen. Like I was gonna get sunscreen in these small towns in Nevada, but they wanted like $17 for like this face SPF that's, you know, like as like oil free and stuff like that. It's just better for your skin. And I was like, no, I can get that at a Walmart or a Target for like $8. So it'll be nice to be able to go to a big city and get those again from like a big box chain. So I don't like going to big cities, but they are nice to kind of refuel up on all the things you kind of need in your life. And usually they're a lot cheaper too than finding them in these little small towns. All right, well, I got an hour and a half of driving. I don't know how much more I can really talk about doing daily errands, daily chores while living in a car. It's not really that different from living in a house, other than I might have to drive a little further to get to some of these things. Kind of the nice thing is when it comes to certain things, like if you have to do car maintenance or anything, because I'm traveling so much and I'm in different states quite often, unless it's an emergency of some sort with the car, I can shop around to different places and see who has the best deals. For example, a few years ago when I needed new tires for the car, I was in Arizona when I started thinking, okay, I'm gonna need tires pretty soon for my car. But I also knew that in the next month, I was gonna be in Utah, Oregon, and Washington. So I started calling each one of those states in the big cities and started calling around for the best prices on tires. So I saved money by going to the place that had the best price, and I was gonna be going there anyways because it was on route of my travels. So I guess that's kind of the nice thing about full-time travel is when you have to do errands that are kind of big purchase items, you have the luxury of kind of shopping around a little bit and going different places. Most people live in just, you know, one city, so they need tires. They can call around to different tire places, but they're probably not going to really save that much money between each place. It might save $30 to $50 or something, but I saved like, I don't remember, this was a couple years ago. I think I saved a couple $100 by getting them from a different state. You know, taxes are different. Just depends on what you need. All right, well, I'm going to listen to some podcasts and drive to St. George, Utah. All right, and I'm at a thing called the Mountain Meadows Massacre. And as I was driving to St. George, I started seeing signs for this. Like it's coming up in a couple miles, now it's coming up in 1 mile, now it's there on the next turn. And I was like, what is that? I've never heard of that. And as I drove by the sign that says, oh, it's this turn, take it here if you want to see it, I just went right past it at first because I was like, nah, I don't know what that is. Then it struck me, I was like, you know, the whole reason I got into the travel lifestyle was to see places in the country that others just don't get to see all the time and maybe just never even heard about. So I quickly turned around and came back up here. And as I'm reading the signs about it, essentially what happened back in 1857 is I think about 140 people were trying to cross the country over to California, and they had tons of supplies with them. Like they had oxes and horses and cattle, and they had guns and they had food and they had clothing and had all this stuff, right? Because they were trying to move their entire lives out west. and they were essentially just ambushed by Indians and militia. And they completely massacred almost the entire group. They killed a bunch of them right there on site. And then any remaining ones they had, they later took to a field and told them that they were safe. But actually, a bunch of militia just jumped out from the bushes and killed them all right there. So it was just a complete massacre. And they stripped all of their belongings from the dead and didn't even give the dead a proper burial. And the only survivors were 17 children. And so it became known as the Mountain Meadows Massacre, and they have an entire memorial here to it. And yeah, it's incredibly, obviously sad, and it's very humbling to see this. But again, this is kind of why I got into the travel lifestyle. Is this is a thing that you're probably not going to know about unless you live in this area. So it was kind of worth it just turn around and take the little path up here and see this for a minute. So they even put these things here that say where the campsite was and everything, and you can look through, and it'll tell you off in the distance where that was. And then where the women and children memorial is, it's off in the distance there. And then the same thing with the men and boys memorial. Oh man, the sun's right in the camera, so it's hard for you to see, but there are some really cool rock formations in front of me. Whoa! Oh my gosh! Look at this! Oh my gosh! Gorgeous here. I love Utah. I love southern Utah. So much cool stuff here. I've never been on this side of St. George. The only time I've been to St. George was when I was at Zion, so I was on the east side of the city. So coming over here, it's really beautiful. And there's a really cool canyon rock thing over here. I think it was called Snow Canyon State Park. So I'm definitely gonna check that out. That's a happy accident find right there. I did not know that that was there. Here's that duffel bag I was talking about. I keep this up in my roof box, like up there, my roof box up there. Again, because it just mitigates all the smells out of the car. And it's a pretty big bag, but you can see I'm stuffed pretty good right now. I gotta throw my towel in there and a couple other things in there, so I'm kind of exploding, so it's definitely time to do some laundry. And remember how I said I got a bunch of dust in the car from this morning at my campsite? Look at it all on top of my sleeping bag. Like maybe I won't pick up as much on camera. We got a bunch of it here in the car. Oh man, got everywhere. I'm gonna try to wipe this stuff out. It's just blowing away in the wind. So the one thing about living in a car that when you need to do laundry and you have clothing that is not safe for the dryer, like it would shrink up if you put it in the dryer, I have to hang dry it, but I don't have a hanger or anything to put it on. So I have a couple of shirts here that are drying, like one's over my steering wheel. I have a pullover back here, and I have another one right here, all draped around things to try to dry. And it's obviously nighttime, so they're not going to dry before morning. The nice thing is it's definitely warmer here than what I've been dealing with for the past couple of weeks. I must be in lower elevation here. So these should dry overnight pretty easy, but I'm gonna have to find a place to drape them all over the car before I go to bed. All right, well, I had a casualty of war today while driving. I lost something on my car. Remember those motion lights I was showing you earlier on the side of the vehicle? Yeah, this one on the driver's side came off. Not really surprised. It was a pretty thin piece of plastic that was holding it on, but oh well. All right, I'm going to treat myself tonight. I'm going to do something that I don't usually get the chance to do, which is go to a restaurant. As you've seen, I usually cook out of the back of the car. I make daily breakfast and daily dinner. But now that I'm in a big city, I'm going to go ahead and treat myself to a good restaurant. I'm in my spot for the night. Really cool views of the city from up here. All right, well, I am home for the night. I found a spot. It's really nice up here. As you come up this dirt road, there's a sign there that says 14-day limit on camping. And there is a lot of people up here, all car living or car camping, I guess. I don't know if they're all living in their cars, but a lot of car camping up here. So I had to went to a couple different spots and had to turn around until I found this spot. It's not the most level thing I've ever slept on, but it'll definitely work. Gorgeous views of the city up here. It's really, really cool. But I think this is where I'm going to end the video. I have a lot of editing to do for today's video, so you have something to watch tomorrow. And tomorrow I am going to head into the Subaru dealership to have them look at this tire pressure thing, see if I get that fixed. But I hope this gives you a little glimpse of what it's like to just kind of do chores all day while living in a car. In tomorrow's video, I'll go ahead and address the question I was originally going to talk about today, which is why do I live in a car and not a van? So I'll finally talk about that. Until next time, thanks for escaping normal life with me.